implementing their whole password sharing crackdown, they were very careful not to raise prices because, they didn't want to anger, existing customers. So again, it's going to be tricky. They're kind of walking a tightrope here, but yeah, they are going to use all the different levers that they have to kind of keep profitability, which is their main metric right now, profitability and margins kind of climbing up.
I think before the report and the analysts I was speaking to, a lot of them made a big deal about the T-Mobile partnership that they were working on. How do you see that factoring into the future? Do you think that has been a successful program, and can you expect to see them maybe do some more types of those partnerships?
Absolutely. I think that is going to become a critical factor for Netflix if it really kind of wants to grow its subscribers. So what they did with T-Mobile was they're offering their ad-supported plan, which is the $7 monthly plan to select T-Mobile members for free, and they're going to do a lot more of that. Having a low-priced plan kind of really gives them a lot of flexibility because they can add subscribers, but then again, they're not necessarily losing ARPU because remember, the greater the subscribers they have, they can always kind of appeal to the advertising community, so and kind of make up or offset for any of that ARPU differential from their advertising dollars. I think that's going to definitely play a much bigger role, not just in the U.S., but of course across the world as well. They're going to have lots of those kinds of telecom partnerships.
Geetha, what do we, kind of pull from this when it means to like Disney streaming and Warner Brothers Discovery and some of the other services that are out there?
So for all of those other services, I think subscriber growth is not the primary focus anymore. It's kind of moved now, Carol, to profitability, where obviously, again, Netflix leads the pack. A lot of these other services have made good progress, I would say really good progress when it comes to, at least, they're not profitable yet, but they're, moderating their losses. Disney obviously is the big one to watch for there. And now they have the model in place. You've seen exactly what Netflix has accomplished. They all know exactly what they have to do. It's just going to be a question of how well they do it and can they get there quick enough.
Geetha, do you think there's any consumer confusion? I mean, okay, I know the answer to this is yes, and I just don't know how to solve it. The consumer confusion about where to watch something. You mentioned Sex and the City, and I was shocked to hear that that's on Netflix. It's an HBO show. Somebody in our simulcast chat mentioned The Office. Well, I think that's now on Peacock, but it was on Netflix. Friends, a former NBC show, or no, Seinfeld is now on Netflix, I believe.
It's confusing, see?
Right? Is that right? I don't know.
It is.
How
Discovery is the big. It's not content anymore. It's really just Discovery is the biggest problem right now in the whole of, the streaming space. And at the end of the day, we're kind of looking for that one. Or what we're waiting for is that one aggregator or re-aggregator that can kind of take all the shows that you really want to watch and do it. I don't know who it's going to be. Is it going to be YouTube? Maybe it is. It could be Amazon. It could be Apple. But we're all waiting for that. Again, I'm not sure when exactly it's going to happen.
Roku does a really good job of that, but you got to be signed into everything on your Roku, and plus that means you're only watching on TV. You're not watching it on the iPad or on your phone.
Oh, I know.
There still is friction.
Yeah, there is still a lot of friction.
Final thought, Geetha. I'm just thinking of our investor audience as we work through this. Netflix share is still down about 3.25% here.
Yes, I think the big question is really going to be, on the call, how many subscribers or how many, subscribers do you think you've captured from the whole password sharing initiative? I think the number that they originally identified was 100 million households. I think people will definitely want to know what percentage of that has already been kind of captured, just given the strong subscriber metrics, and then they'll kind of try to figure out how much more runway is left.
Rockstar, as always, Geetha Ranganathan, thank you so much. Tech and media analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence. Red Brown, final thoughts for you, just 20 seconds here. I mean, stock's down in the aftermarket, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow, and for the remainder of the year, I think, they put up strong financials, and that could easily bounce back. It's a quick reaction, but the investors love the short term.
And it also depends on what they say on the call.
Exactly, and it'll be interesting to see if investors might say, well, wait, it's a little bit cheaper than it was, and I want the exposure. Red Brown, thank you so much.
Also a rock star, Red.
Yeah. Yes,
Thank you for
indeed.
sticking with
Kind
us.
of a
Really
rough week
appreciate
here
it.
right now.
Yeah, we had a great group.
We really did. All right, let's get a check and update on some of the news after the market, including those Netflix earnings. A recap there for you. Here is Charlie Feller.
Hi, thank you very much. Certainly Netflix, the major story, but we got a number of other breaking stories to bring you up to date on. Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis President Neil Kashkari says the Fed could potentially wait until 2025 to lower rates. In his words, we can wait as long as it takes before cutting rates. Nordstrom says it has formed a special committee in response to Eric and Pete Nordstrom's interest in exploring a going private transaction. And Netflix posted its best start to the year since 2020, attracting more new customers than anyone expected, thanks to a strong slate of original programs and a crackdown on password sharing. Stock is trading lower after hours. We got Netflix down now by 3.4%. Lucas Shaw follows Netflix for Bloomberg News. He says the outlook may have disappointed some investors.
The revenue forecast is actually pretty strong. It's going to grow faster than it did in the first quarter, but it said its subscriber growth would tick down a bit in the second quarter. That's normally what happens, but because of the lack of clarity on that number, you might see people being a little bit nervous around what that number is going to be going forward.
And Bloomberg's Lucas Shaw, Netflix added 9.33 million customers in the first quarter, nearly doubling the 4.84 million average of analyst estimates. As we've been reporting, shares are trading lower. Right now we got Netflix down by 3.3%. Mixed day on Wall Street. Dow Industrials up today by 22 points, a gain of just about 0.1%. S&P fell 0.2. Nasdaq today lower by about 0.6%. 10-year yield 4.63% with a 2-year 4.98%. Spot gold up $17 the ounce, a gain of 0.7%. West Texas Intermediate crude down 0.2%. I'm Charlie Pelleton. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
What I'm about to tell you is a matter of life and death. If the soil dies, we die. But there's a way to save our precious soils. It's called regeneration.
Regeneration is not just restoring the land to the state that we found it at, but actually making it better.
All right, what you've been hearing and watching, for those who are watching on our streaming service and YouTube, that is from the documentary Common Ground, which looks into how food production and agriculture can be done better with less environmental impact by looking at our past and to our past and looking to regenerative agriculture.
For more on the film and its deep dive into the agricultural history of the U.S., we welcome the filmmakers behind it, the husband and wife team of Josh and Rebecca Tickle. Thanks so much for joining us. I just want to start with how you guys got into this. Rebecca, I want to start with you. Talk to us a little bit about why you wanted to dive into regenerative agriculture and really the agricultural history of the U.S.
We've made 20 films on the environment. Almost all of them are documentaries. We started off focusing on reducing our emissions. And then we realized at a certain point that even if we reduced all of our emissions and stopped emitting today, that it wasn't going to take that legacy load of carbon that we've emitted into the atmosphere and do anything with it. And the only way we can actually do anything with it is through biosequestration, using plants. And so regenerative agriculture, it's a way of building soil that not only benefits the environment, draws down that legacy ton of carbon that we've put up into the atmosphere, but it also helps farmers to make a profit. And so as soon as we learned this, and as parents, we knew that we had to take this message and tell it as well as we can and broadcast it as loudly as we could to as many people as we can, because right now everyone is facing climate anxiety. We're facing climate anxiety, and we don't have to. We can take that same energy and put it towards the solution of regenerating our soil and stabilizing the climate. So as soon as we discovered that and we learned that, we knew that we were going to take our skills as filmmakers and use it to tell that story.
Josh and Rebecca, take a step back. You know, over the years, and a few years ago, I should say, I remember working with the folks over at Chipotle who've also had done some films and really looked into, you know, regenerative farming and how we could farm better. You guys have been doing this for a long time, and you've done so many films on the environment. First of all, talk to us about kind of that trajectory and what you've seen and whether we're making any progress on doing things better and reducing the impact on our agricultural economy, on what we eat, and really just kind of helping out the climate. Are we doing anything better?
Well, we have done this for 20 years, and I think awareness is higher now than it's ever been. When we released Kiss the Ground, the film the prior film, The Common Ground, it was during COVID lockdown, and that film went absolutely viral. People were so interested in the connections between soil and health, and I think that remains today. I think the gap for most people, and where especially parents, moms, folks who shop at the grocery store, where the gap is people are questioning what decisions will make the biggest impact for their health and what decisions are going to make the biggest impact for the climate. The awareness is there, but what decisions to make? That's the question. And that's where Common Ground comes in. It really says, hey, look, here are your options. We don't tell people what to do in the film, but we give people a strong understanding so that they can make choices that work for them and their family. And that's why we're excited about the Earth Day release of Common Ground that's coming out this Earth Day in theaters.
Hey, Rebecca, I wanted to ask just about, and Josh as well, about the some of the cast that you feature. A huge group of people, but some real household names here. I mean, we're talking about stars like Woody Harrelson, Jason Momoa, Rosario Dawson. Rebecca, talk a little bit about how you get them involved. Was it, given your history, is it pretty easy?
Well, Josh here, I first heard of Josh because he had driven the veggie van across the country promoting biodiesel back in the 90s and wrote a book that taught people how to make it. So, of course, Woody was driving across the country in his 10th biodiesel van, and every time it would break down, they would call on Josh to help them figure out how to problem solve. So he was definitely on board and has been on board with our work from the beginning, and we could not be more grateful to him. And along the way, we've met Laura Dern through our film on the BP oil spill, and we just come to know these other incredible, passionate